Hello there, you amazing people out there, and welcome to the Amazing Action Comics podcast, where we are all about independent comics. I'm one of your hosts, Angel, with Oh, I did it again, bro. Isn't that crazy?
This is my.
John Pepe.
How's it going, Angel?
Oh man, one of
That's
these
my
days.
fault. That's my fault
Oh, it's not your fault.
because I totally did the Philadelphia joke before that,
Yeah,
right before we went on. So
too
that's
many
good.
Johns, too many Phils. All this stuff is going on. And I'm like in my head, don't say Phil. Don't say Phil. Don't say Phil. That's the first thing I said. Oh crap! How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. How are you? It's a lovely
Yeah,
day. Lovely, not too
another
hot,
Thursday.
breezy. Yeah.
Dude, that storm last night was crazy.
Oh, I didn't.
It was
We didn't get it up here.
really no, we got so much water downfall, and then this morning it came down even more, but then the sun just came out of nowhere. So for
Nice.
those of you guys that don't know, we're in the Northeast. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're in that New Jersey tri-state area. So
And
yeah,
I'm
it
about
pouring
like
down.
20 minutes north of where Angel is, so sometimes we get different weather patterns too. Which is wild.
So we're 2 minutes into the podcast, and I'm already going to go off onto a tangent. But here it goes, right? So this is what I discovered about weather. So when they tell you, or when you look up the weather, and it says 50% chance rain, that doesn't mean that there's a 50% chance that it's going to rain. It means there's 100% chance that it's going to rain, but only cover 50% of the area that it's looking at. So when I looked at it that way, I said, "Fuck, that makes sense." Because why would they give percentages to rain in regards to it's either going to rain or it's
It's
not going
not
to
going to
rain?
rain,
What's the
right?
percentage? So that made more sense. So yeah, so the next time you look it up, just know that if it says 30% or 20%, it's gonna fucking rain. It just might not rain in your area. It just 20% of the area might be covered with rain. So yeah, there you go. I made you that much smarter this week, gang. All right,
This
guys,
this is
welcome.
our this is a hint to all of our viewers. This is our slow transition away from comics to weather
Weather.
meteorology.
We're gonna just do hours of weather. All right,
This is the
guys.
weather on Thursday at 1 p.m. every week.
Welcome to another episode of the Amazing Action Comics podcast. This is episode, I think, 133 or something like that. We're starting to
Uh,
come up there. We're going to get up there for 134. We're somewhere
134.
in the 130s. We're getting there. Yeah, we have some more reviews for you this week, but before we get there, we're just going to BS a little bit more. I know Phil wants to cover some stuff, but really quickly, before we go into that, I just have to let you know that I saw the final. I don't know if it is the final because we might get more. We'll see, but it should be the final chapter of the Planet of the Apes. What's after trilogy? Trilogy,
What is it? Quadrology,
quadrology, something.
right? Because there's four.
Yes,
It's four in this
four in
reboot.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
which I've seen all of them, and then we decided to go this weekend to watch it. And it's been in comic form before. I don't know. It's always been picked up by one of the big two, right? Has it
So
ever been?
it was originally Marvel,
Okay.
and then it bounced around from a bunch of indies for a while. IDW had it most recently. Now it's
Yes.
back with Marvel. I don't think
Marvel
DC
did.
ever had it, but yeah.
Yeah. I'll
And
be honest. Go ahead.
I guess this current one. I think there's plans for two more. Because I think it's two sets of trilogies is what they're trying to do with these new movies.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, so then yes, that would have made sense because the end of three. I know you didn't see any of them because these movies are after 2000.
Yeah, I saw the one with James Franco. I saw the first
That's the first. Okay.
of this reboot. I did see the Tim Burton one in 2000, right, or
Which
whenever
is the
that
Mark
was.
Wahlberg one.
Yeah, the Mark Wahlberg one.
Yeah.
And
Which
I love the original ones. I have such love for the original Planet of the Apes movies.
I know you do, and
Yeah.
I've seen them, and now that I've seen these, I just can't get back into the costume stuff.
I
But
love
the
the
Mark,
rubber masks.
it's
I
funny because
love
the
this.
Mark Wahlberg one was so far and removed from the stuff that was of recent.
Yeah,
He basically had sort of like a wormhole open up, and he ended
yeah.
up on a planet that was already, you know, populated with fucking apes and chimps and stuff, as opposed to this story, which I really dug from the very beginning, which was us creating the virus, or James Franco creating the virus so that he could save his father who was Alzheimer, but in retrospect actually makes a virus that makes the chimps smarter, but kills half the population of humans and then the other half actually gets dumbed down, and then
Mhm.
whatever's left over goes into hiding. And then you've got the three movies that set up to sort of like the climax, which is the War of Planet of the Apes with what's his face? Oh, why am I blanking out his name? I'm not gonna remember. And it's gonna come back to me later on. But the guy that did freaking Zombieland. Oh, Woody
Oh,
Harrelson. There we go.
right,
White Man
right.
Can't
That's
Jump.
right.
So
Yeah.
he's the main antagonist in that last one. And so we get the end of Caesar's story. So Caesar's the first chimp that actually gets the virus injected into him. And then from there, we see his story progress over those three films. Really cool from the very beginning till that very end, where that kind of ends his chapter. I'm not going to ruin it for you because hopefully you'll see it before the next century. Um, and then this new film that came out is the first one where we don't have Caesar. So we
Right.
have all the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I guess is going to be the beginning of that trilogy that's coming.
Right.
Because it takes place like many generations after that third film. So if we look at many generations, you look at a huge, a much larger population of chimps, apes, and all types of these guys. And then it's funny to see like the two types of humans that they have in the movie, which are humans that can actually speak and humans that are just more like savages that have kind of been dumbed down. Just really well put together. I mean, they're long as hell, but I think this one was like 2 hours and 25 minutes. And it's funny because it's like most movies now are averaging about 2 hours.
Yeah.
But they used to be, I think, an hour and 15 minutes, and then they pushed it to an hour and 90. I mean, an hour and a half. And people were like, whoa, this is crazy. And then you get like 2
There
hour
goes my
movies,
afternoon.
3 hour movies, and you're just half the day in the movie theater, sitting half the day, bringing freaking lunch and stuff.
A lot less
Yeah.
trailers back then, though. A lot less trailers and AMC commercials with Nicole Kidman. Those did not exist way back then.
It's funny because they made a new commercial, and we were like, yeah, they have a new commercial because they usually last probably a couple years before they cycle them out. We're like, new commercial, and then her commercial came on right after the new commercial, and the whole audience went,
I guess they're using the Wolverine Deadpool silence your cell phones thing that just showed up like a week ago. That's now being played in theaters before movies. Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
But that'll be out right after July, so we'll be done with that. But talking about that, if you're looking at a 2 hour and 25-minute movie plus the trailers, we were there probably close to 3 hours.
Yeah.
Just chilling down. That's 3 hours without going to the bathroom. I was like, holy crap. But yeah, I mean, the thing with movies being that long, if they're not entertaining, they feel long. But this didn't. I mean, it moved along really well. I really liked it. And the only reason why I'm bringing it up is because I know it did have a comic counterpart for a long time. And you would probably know this more than I would. The movies came out first before the comics, right?
Oh yeah. The original Planet of the Apes movie kind of started this whole thing, and yeah, it was definitely the movie first. In fact, Marvel just reprinted a trade though of their early comics that they did shortly after the first movie. One of the things I love about the original series, besides the rubber masks, are the is when you watch the whole thing.
The human on ape action.
Human on ape action.
I was so grossed out when I saw that.
That's like the Wahlberg one too. Like that's a big thing. Yes. Yeah. But the original one with Charlton Heston, and the ones that came after that, the way they dealt with time travel, I thought was really neat, because by the time you get to the third movie, you realize they've created a fixed loop in time. And I always loved their way of handling time travel, and that basically your two ape sympathizers, your Roddy McDowall, your Cornelius and Zira, right? When they go to the past at the end of the second one, their baby is the Cornelius that they worship later on. And I love that sort of fixed spot in time thing that they close that loop. The thing I love about the Tim Burton Mark Wahlberg one is that I don't think I have ever seen a reboot or an IP be so thoroughly disowned by the fans of the original, literally the moment that movie came out. And that's why I kind of embrace that movie. And there are things in that movie that are good, but yeah, it is a movie that really, tries too hard to replicate the original to a point where, with that tacked on ending with the Lincoln Memorial, it just was like, you're just like a Mad Magazine parody of the original at this point.
I like that. I mean, because I think, honestly, if I'm being honest, I don't think I've ever made it through one of the original Man of the Eighth. And if I seen more than one of them, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. It's neat, like I said, that the time travel aspect that is introduced into it and how it creates this closed loop, this closed time circle, I think is just such a great way of doing time travel. I just
I'm gonna have to go back and check it out just for the story itself. Yeah. I mean, just, you know, we're in this day and age where we're just so used to like all of this CGI in cinema that whenever I see it, you know, puppets, or like masks like that, like, the only thing that I can probably watch is probably the original Turtles and still be entertained.
Right.
Annoyed by the costumes and stuff like that. But yes, it's crazy. Like the kids that are growing up now just are never going to see any of that. Except, did we have any? I'm trying to think if we had anything recently. The only thing that I could think of would be Ghostbusters, because I still think they used.
There was still some practical effects and they put the glowy effect on it. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of the mask stuff is now CGI these days. Yeah. Otherwise, you get something like that Winnie the Pooh as a murderer movie in the first one, where those masks just look awful.
Dude, it was on streaming, and I was tempted to watch it, and I was just like, I can't do it. Can't do it. After watching Madam Web and, you know, wasting an hour and a half of my life. And no fault for the actresses.
It is the best, worst time wasting though, because that movie is so bad that, dude, there are so many videos out there breaking down just the awfulness of this movie that I love this movie for how bad it is. Madam Web, I love how bad it is,
and I'm wrestling with it because I don't know if it was worse or better that they didn't mention Spider-Man. It was in the Spider-Man universe. I don't know. I almost think it would have helped it.
You have no idea. Like, you should do a little deep dive, because some of these, like, so apparently there was supposed to be Spider-Man in the movie. That vision he has in the future, it's not the girls that defeat it, it's Spider-Man that defeats him. Like, it's like that was like, there's concept art of it out there and everything. Like, this is a movie, like, when Dakota Johnson, who, God bless her, because she went out on the press tour before the movie came out, and she said everything that you say about a movie after the movie comes out and bombs before the movie came out. And you got to see some of that stuff, because that's gold. But she literally said, she goes, the movie that we shot, or the movie that wound up coming out, is not the movie we shot. She's like, we shot a very different movie than what actually came out.
Crazy.
Oh yeah, and then unfortunately there's a couple good action beats in there. There's some neat stuff. There's some good performances. Adam Scott as Ben Parker, I thought was such a wasted opportunity. He would have been a great Uncle Ben to Tom Holland, right? You know, if that's where they were going, or it was supposed to be Andrew Garfield's. I don't know. Like, the whole thing, you got to look into it. It's so crazy what this movie was going to be versus what came out.
Yeah, I'm almost positive they sat her down and say, listen, we're doing this Spider-Man spinoff, blah, blah. You're going to be in the Spider-Man universe. And that would be intriguing probably to her.
Oh,
but
sure.
If they would have said, listen, we're doing this movie that has nothing to do with Spider-Man, but there's Spider-Man characters in it, you're on board, yes? She would have been like, oh, no. She did a great job for what she had.
Yeah.
And the fact that she said what she said in regards to it was a completely different movie. I believe they shot a Spider-Man movie and then got called up by the big mouse, and the mouse said, nope, you can't do it. You can't do it that way. So that's what happened.
I think it was Kevin Feige kind of taking those reins again with that weird deal that they worked out, you know, that Marvel Studios worked out with Sony, where they can only use Spider-Man in the Marvel Studios movies, but Sony can still make all these movies with tangential Spider-Man characters, which is why we get Morbius and Madame Web and Kraven. And
can they do Miles?
So Miles, I think, is that weird gray area, because obviously the animation, Sony, you know, Marvel Animation with Sony can do Miles in the Spider-Verse movies. But at this point, yeah, there's been a slight allusion to Miles existing in the first Spider-Man Homecoming, when
Right.
Donald Glover's is my nephew Miles, right?
Yep.
But other than that, I don't know. I think Miles is in a weird gray area that no one can touch right now, to be
Okay,
honest.
so then how about the Scarlet Spider?
That's another good one. Yeah,
Is
Sony.
that just a
Wait,
clone of Peter Parker?
dude, we don't want to give Sony any ideas. We don't want to,
No,
but like,
because that's Peter Parker.
it's Peter Parker, but here's the thing: he's a clone, and if they
Yep.
can't say Peter Parker, he's a clone of the guy. But he's blonde, and he's Ben Riley, and you could, or he's a variant who looks slightly different. Like, wow, I just got all worked up and knocked the mic over. That is probably something they could do. They could probably do a Scarlet Spider, and just squint. If you squint, it connects.
Yeah. We got to squint really, really hard. All right, we're getting off on a tangent here. All right, I said my piece about Planet of the Apes. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. If you got 2, 4, 6, 8, about 10, 12 hours of your life, then you can watch all 4 movies in a weekend. Fantastic. All right, you've got some news or some stuff that you wanted to follow up on.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to. We had talked last week about the passing of Christine Farrell. From Burlington, Vermont, the extensive DC collection and shop owner of Quarterstaff Games and Earth Prime Comics. And the question had come up of whether or not she had still owned the store. And I wasn't sure. I had read some things that said maybe she sold it, but I did get definitive news that no, she did not sell it before she passed. I don't know what that means for the future of the store. I do wish both stores, the gaming store, Quarterstaff Games upstairs, and Earth Prime Comics, the best of luck, and hope everything works out as far as navigating whatever's going to be going on with this situation. And again, this is, she passed away in early April, so I don't know exactly where everything stands, but I do wish that store luck. It brought comics to an area that really needed a comic shop for 41 years now. And I really hope that there is still a venue and an outlet for that medium up in that town. Cool. So, yeah. The only other thing I want to say is today is May 30th, and it is my mother's 85th birthday. So I would be, even though she does not watch this, I would be remiss if I did not wish her a happy birthday. I always like to say, May 1939 is the cover date of Detective Comics number 27. Granted, with the way comics were pre-cover dated, whatever, the book actually hit the shelves earlier. But my joke is that my mom shares the same birth month and day of Batman, and I've never seen my mom and Batman in the same room together, so I have my suspicions.
Well, this day and age, you never know. Batman could be a girl or a guy. Or both.
With the armor, right? The Keaton armor. Yeah.
Well, happy birthday, Mama Pepe.
Thank you.
That's all good. All right, cool. So I think it's not a busy week this week. I think we both read the same book that we're going to discuss. So we have one book this week for review. I'm going to go ahead and let you kick this off.
Okay.
Because there's things that bother me about it, but yeah, you know what they're going to be. So
yeah, well, I was going to say, this is a book that is right up your alley. So this is from Dark Horse Comics. It is called William of Newbury. It is written and illustrated and lettered by Michael Avon Oeming. It is edited by Daniel Chabon, assistant editor Chuck Howitt-Leese, another assistant editor Misha Gare, designer Hannah Noble, and digital art technician Joey Weaver. Again, from Dark Horse. This is really neat. Takes place in the 12th century, the plague years in England. You have this monk who is also a raccoon, and he's basically a Ghostbuster. He just goes to haunted places and traps the spirits that are plaguing people, that are bothering people, and so on and so forth. And on one excursion to alleviate a spirit, he meets up with a band of thieves. He actually winds up sort of befriending one of those thieves. That one is a mouse, and that he kind of becomes his little aide, his little companion on that specific mission, and decides to stick with him. For some interesting reasons that I don't, that again, I think is a neat little talking point as far as a bit of a cliffhanger. But decides to continue with him onto the next ghost busting medieval excursion that they go on. I thought this was cool. I thought this was fun. I've always loved Michael Avon Oeming. He's a really great artist and really kind of first hit the scene with Powers, with Brian Michael Bendis's big hit there early on. Has a really good sort of Bruce Timm style. And he's currently working with James Tynion IV on Blue Book, which is chronicling, famous UFO cases. And that style is very consistent through that. This has much more of a Mike Mignola style.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that. I think it lent itself really well to the material. I know you love this book because it was anthropomorphic and it was sort of a historical period piece, and a little bit of a hard fantasy, right? Which I think you're a little better with. But what did you think?
So, all right. So 2 out of the 3 things were okay with me. Like when it comes to period pieces, it depends on what it is. Like medieval stuff, I like.
Okay.
You got 12th century, England. You got like the middle of the plague, civil unrest going on, civil war going on, and then you have this neat little story with animals. So the anthropomorphic is the only thing. And you know what? Honestly, it did not bother me in this book, only because the art was really, really good. And when I say really good, it was really loose in terms of detail. So it's not extremely detailed, but the use of shadow and blacks in his book set the mood really well for this book, because it really is supposed to be sort of like this, medieval horror, fantasy book. And it really and on top of that, the colors just really sets the tone. So for me, the tone of the book was absolutely superb.
I love
storytelling. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I love his colors. Like I love that green that he uses, and
but like how much black is on there though.
Yeah.
And it's not overpowering. It really makes like a lot of the color pop and a lot of the art pop. So so kudos to the artist on that, because it was really intriguing. I found myself just looking at a lot of panels, just staring at it, just looking at how beautiful it was. As far as the storytelling, I thought it was really well paced. It kind of like jumps you right into it. Like you get a brief, like couple of bubbles in the beginning as to what time period you're in, where you are, and what's going on in the region, which is quick. I mean, it was like 4 bubbles, and I was like, oh, I'm all caught up.
Yeah.
And then everything else unfolds. So you have Father William, who is going around exercising these demons for people for pay to bring it back to the Abbey. And obviously his brothers are pissed off because they don't want him doing that. So it's really great because he's got, these callings to, expel these demons. And at the same time, he's afraid of what's in the real world.
He's more afraid of man
than he
is of a demon or a ghost. Yeah, I love that bit.
That was the other thing that I could not get out of my head. So one of the things that they used to distinguish, male and females was man and woman. So he's like, yeah, this demon took the form of a man, but it wasn't a man. It was sort of like this porcupine, man thing.
Right.
So man meant whatever animal that it was representing. Yeah. So it got into my head for that. But then the skeletons that he's seeing that are telling him, giving him direction, are human skeletons.
Right.
But yet there's no humans in the book as of yet. So there was a couple of things that I was wrestling with. However, being that I don't like animal books, anthropomorphic books, I'm going to continue with this.
Cool.
Because the story was that good. It got me that hooked. I mean, we didn't get one exorcism, we got 2 exorcisms. And then the cool thing about it is, he meets these thieves who want to rob him. He kind of makes his deal so he can get safe passage to the next town. And the deal that he kind of strikes up with the mouse in regards to teaching him how to read, so that he can help.
First, just to sign his name, right? So
just to sign his name.
And the mouse is like, so if I can forge my own name, he's like, no, it's your name. You're not forging. If I can forge my own name, then I can forge anybody's name. I love that.
Yeah. So there was like stuff like that was quite clever, and it was. I was laughing out loud.
Yeah.
Particular lines like that. So you have that. So you have the story of this Father William, who's exercising these demons, and then trouble with the Abbey in regards to him, not following what they say, then meeting up with these bandits, befriending one of them, and then sort of leaving it at the very end, where now he has pissed off his brothers. His brothers are after him from the Abbey. Then you have him teaming up with the one mouse, who are getting ready to, leave a group of thieves who are going to have them chasing them onto their next, mission, which is to find this. I guess the devil is the way that he put it. So there's a lot of like small little stories that kind of just loop around Father William. They keep it really interesting, but not so like too involved where you're lost at any point. They're just adding to this onion of a really good story. So at its core, I think it's really solid. So I knew you expected me to hate it because of all the other stuff that I've spoken about.
I was hoping you like it because I thought it held up. I thought it was really good. I do have some quibbles, but yeah, the things that you pointed out, I loved. I also, like I kind of mentioned before, like with the mouse, the sort of what are the mouse's true intentions? Because he's telling this band of thieves he's going to do one thing, but yet he's telling Father William another thing. And so I kind of I see where that's shaping up, and I like that we're gonna have sort of like a sort of a face turn, right, on this character. I think that he's going to make the right choice. The things with anthropomorphic that in this especially that kind of hung me up is, so first of all, Michael Avon Oeming has been doing this for a long time, has worked with some of the best writers in the business. So he really knows his way around a story. Not his first time writing and illustrating a story. I feel that this is his first time venturing into this world of anthropomorphic. And I think that there were a couple reasons why. Part of it is it's a way to sort of convey character and expression and intention, right? In a way that sort of endears you. Like, so all of a sudden, like, we like raccoons. They got like human hands. We think raccoons are neat. So it's kind of a nice way to kind of buy into William's character, right? It's sort of like a shorthand in some respects. I think that's why some people do the anthropomorphic thing. It could be a plot twist that maybe this is, like you kind of mentioned, how man, woman, human skeletons. It could be a thing where this might be a reveal that this is how William sees the world, right? That he just kind of equates everybody as these sort of animals. Because what kind of hung me up in this is familiar relations in this story do not line up. Like William's actual brother, who is also a monk, right, in the Abbey, is not another raccoon.
But I don't think that brother means familiar.
Well, no, because they talk about their parents, and then he even says, "My brother, ... our brother." Oh. Or when he goes to the one, manor, right, the cousin of the first guy, right, but then he's like, "This is our father, right? This is the father. He's a bulldog, and then this is the daughter. She's an otter, right? Like, right. So it's like." It's more lining up along with personalities, very much like in Beneath the Trees, Where No One Sees, kind of did. That was doubly confusing, that series, which was fantastic. But you had animals acting like humans, dressed like humans, interacting with animals, acting like animals. So like a bear person would have a dog as a pet,
But you also had mention of this in this book as well. Like dogs with dogs and wolves with wolves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's so I'm wondering if it is something that's going to be baked into the plot. Again, this idea that this is how William just sort of chooses. Again, he's more scared of man than he is of ghosts. So this is how he chooses to relate and deal with people. He just sees them as animals. I think what this is, the reason the choice, and again, I wholly respect the choice because it would get this story out to more people, because they do kind of say in the back matter a little bit, like in the next issue, it's sort of an all ages adventure, right? So this is something you could give just about across any age line because it's nothing crazy. Nope. And I feel that that's a way to get it into the younger readers by making them anthropomorphic. Rather than if it was just a story about William the monk and then you're right. Yeah. So I feel that was more. I think it's slightly more of a commerce choice that is also informed by an artistic choice and decision. So I that's why I'm on board with it in this respect, even though there were a couple things that hung me up. So again, I don't know. Like you kind of clicked in my head that notion that you remind me of, that he does talk about man and woman and the skeletons. That maybe there is a plot driven reason as well. And if that's the case, that's fucking genius. It's brilliant that you do this whole story this way.
Now, if
And
it
then you
doesn't
have that
happen, I'm going to be
reveal.
disappointed. I'll be so disappointed.
Well, if
But
it's
you
like
know what?
a very end reveal, right? You
Yeah,
know, yeah,
if it does, if it does, it doesn't. I think I enjoyed it more. I can't believe I'm going to say this, because it was animals.
yeah.
I think if
See,
it was men and women as characters, it still would have been an interesting story, but I don't
mm-hmm.
think it would have had the same appeal. And I think
Exactly.
having the diversity of those type of characters, I didn't look at them as animals per se. I just looked at them as relationships talking to one another.
Yeah,
So I think
and
that, yeah, I think it did a really good job. And if it doesn't come to fruition that they actually are human beings, I'm okay
still
with
great.
that too. Just
Yeah.
fucked up. You said it because I kind of like that idea. Um, it should be cool. So, but yeah, I mean, I dug it. So if you guys, want something with, sort of that medieval kind of horror feel, William of Newbury from Dark Horse Comics is really, 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 really good and solid.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be a mini. I don't know if it doesn't say in
Yeah, I
the
can't.
synopsis. Yeah, so I'm
Usually
almost
these
probably around 5, 6 issues.
Yeah, usually these types of things, especially a creator like Oming, who does go job to job, does a few titles at the same time. They're usually all
Right.
just sort of minis and stuff like
Which
that.
is
So,
good. I love it because that means it'll have an ending and we'll have some kind of like closure to the story. So we'll
and
see
if
where
it
it goes.
does well, you'll get a volume 2.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. But, okay, and it's right on the freaking cover. You got human skeleton, raccoon, raccoon. But I'm gonna start contemplating it. Yes, really, really good stuff. Check it out, guys, from Dark Horse. William of Newbury. Woo, that was a heavy podcast. All right, so we were talking about this before the podcast, before we end here, because we only had one book this week. We're looking at stuff next week. I think there's 2 or 3 books that may be coming out. So it's just kind of concerning the amount of stuff that was coming out currently. So if there's anything that you know of that's coming up that you want us to take a look at, hit us up. Just go to amazingactioncomics.com /podcast. You could write it on there, and let us know, and we'll look into it and see if we can find it and have it on there as well. Obviously, our shop is ordering books every week, um, based off of readers' expectations and then whatever they think it's going to be cool. So we go through previews as well. And then unfortunately, I think Lunar doesn't have anything as far as physical copies except for the DC Connect.
Right. At this
But
time.
their magazine, what is it called? I forgot what it's called. Is only online. So if
Mhm.
you go to lunardistribution.com, then whatever's coming out from Image, or whatever small publishers they're carrying is only going to be viewable online. So you may want to go check them out, see if there's anything interesting on there that you want to order for your local comic shop, and/or let us know so that we can, order it ourselves. So we take a look at previews, we take a look at all that stuff. Obviously, we can't order everything because I'm not going to spend 20 hours reading, books in one day to review them out. But yeah, it's definitely worth, if there's something definitely out there that's creating a buzz, you want to check it out, sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll definitely have some stuff for next week, but we were just kind of talking about in regards to the amount of stuff that's been coming out currently. It hasn't been too much, and we're hoping that the well doesn't run dry here.
Well, then remember we just had before. There's been like almost like a bit of a dry spell, and then boom, it's like the
Yeah,
next
I
three
mean the
weeks. It's
summer
like
tends to do that
yeah,
as well. So almost
yeah,
the summer comes around is a little bit of a lull.
yeah. And
But
then
yeah,
launches start. Like some new number ones will come out midsummer, and so no one wants to really compete with the big events from the big two, right?
yeah,
So they kind
yeah.
of wait. And there were a couple other titles that did come out this week, but a lot of them, I guess, sort of exceeded expectations. But when it came time to see if we had a chance to grab copies of this stuff, we couldn't. Which again is always great. It's great to communicate to your retailer and let them know if you're interested in something.
Yeah, and it's hard because sometimes when you can't see the images, it makes it hard for purchase. I'm such a visual person. There
Mm-hmm.
are solicitations. Oftentimes the solicitations often sound better than the actual book themselves, or vice versa as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we do read a lot of solicitations, and then whatever kind of just pops out at us, we tend to get those. But sometimes we'll get stuff that we just under buy and we sell out, so we can't get hands on those. But yeah, we'll do our diligence to try to get even more out there in regards to that. But All right, so that's what we have for you this week. If you like what you heard, we'll be back every week. Just keep subscribing to the podcast. Better yet, tell 100 people that you know. Subscribe to the podcast. We'll be here every Thursday at 1 p.m. Dishing out the news on whatever's coming out for that current week. If you're a creator and want to promote yourself and or something that you have coming up, want to join us, go to amazingactioncomics.com/podcast. Fill out the form. John and I would love to have you on to discuss you and your upcoming project. Visit amazingactioncomics.com and stay up to date on everything that we've got going on. Looks like the fall is going to be something, big for us that we're planning on working on, probably like mid to late fall around there. So just keep going back to the site and checking out for updates. Please visit your local comic shop, support them, be a good patron, and just get whatever you can that tickles your fancy. Because without you guys, they wouldn't be there, and we wouldn't be here doing what we love the most. John, where do you get your books from?
Well, I get my comics from The Joker's Child in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. And guess what? We are one weekend away from our end of spring sale. Yes, June 8th, one day only. We're going to have a lot of great deals. So you definitely want to come and check out. Definitely come in before then and see what we do have, but keep that on your mind. And next week, I'm going to have a little bit of more details of the sale. But you know what, man? Nothing like a local comic shop, and my favorite place to be is at the Joker's Child in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. So come on by, or if you can't come there, definitely be a frequent presence at your local comic shop.
Absolutely. All right, kiddies, that's all that we have for you this week. Until next time, please be amazing, stay amazing, and read something amazing.